Hello, everybody. I know it's late to be on Facebook Live for me. It's a Saturday night, and usually I am not on Facebook doing a live, but we had so much good conversation about that food trigger. I thought that I would come on and share with you something that's helped me deal with food left on plates or cleaning my plate in general. And I may have talked about this before, but I wanted to share it since I had so many people who commented on that. One day I saw on Good Morning America, I think it's Good Morning America, Carson Daly, who forever in my mind is UMTV. I don't know about y'all, but I always think when I see him, oh, that's UMTV. But anyway, he was talking about how over the course of a day, when you're cleaning up after your kids, all the food that you touch and you eat just while cleaning up and everything, if you put all that food together, they did a thing where you calculate all those calories, and it was like 500 calories, extra calories, just from cleaning up after our kids and just snacking over their food. Hey, Jess. And so that made me think, wow, that's a lot. I need to be paying attention to that. So I just want to share with you what I do and what it seems kind of strange, but this helped me get into the habit of not eating their food, and also to be okay with not cleaning my plate. So first thing, and if you work with me, you know this, that we always sit down while we eat. So if you are cleaning up after your kids, clean the kitchen or whatever, making food, you shouldn't be eating the food. So if you sit down to eat, that means when you're picking up, what they left or making their plates, if you're standing and making their plates, you're not eating because you're standing and making their plate. So often we'll be making their plate and put something in our mouth. We don't do that because we only eat while we're sitting. We eat when we're having our meal. We don't eat standing up over somebody else's plate. And so just eliminating that, taking that off the table, means there's a lot of times that we would sometimes be putting food in our mouth that we just don't do it. Now you have to build a new habit, because I was in the habit of, making food, tasting food, eating food. And you just don't do that because it's a poor habit to get into. You want to experience your food. It's not very likely that you're experiencing your food if you're standing in the kitchen. So that's one whole thing there. Specifically, I want to talk about how the food left on the plate. So your kids' plate's one thing. The reason I took that picture is I walked past that plate, and first I thought he should clean up after himself. But then I looked and I was like, that's a lot of food. And then I looked and I was like, well, you know what? He was okay leaving it. I'm not going to force him to eat it because that doesn't make sense. A child isn't going to go hungry if there's food available. So if he left it, then he wasn't hungry. And if he, so much food that I could just put it in a container and put it up, and he could eat it again if he wanted it next time he was hungry. Or I could, in that case, I definitely would have put that food up and offered it to him next time he was hungry. But there's nothing wrong with throwing the food away if they didn't eat it. We don't want to force them to eat food if they're not hungry, because that starts a whole, just like we all know, because it's a thing for us, it starts a whole process of eating food beyond when we're satiated. So that's the child, the kids, the raising of the kids. But when we talk about our plates as adults, this is one of the things I had to do to break myself of that habit, was I had to start to purposely be okay with leaving food on my plate. And I played a little game in my head where I was like, I'm full and there's still food here. And I would be like, and that's good. And I would tell myself that it's okay to leave food on my plate. And it took a while, but eventually I was able to retrain myself to be like it's okay to leave food. Now, the first thing that I would do is, because I was not okay just throwing it away. So I would save it. So I'd put it in a different container or I wouldn't do that. You could cover your plate with foil and put it in the refrigerator. For me, I put it in a different container that was sealed and say, okay, I can eat it later. Now, sometimes I would warm it up. Sometimes the food would warm up fine and I would eat it later. Other times, I would throw it away. But for me, it felt better to put it in a different container and then throw it away, as opposed to throwing it away from my plate. Just, taking the plate and say, I'm not going to eat that, and throwing it away. If I put it in a different container and then waited and then realized, okay, I'm not going to eat it, that made me feel better about it. So that's the first thing. I would be okay leaving the food, and I put it in a different container. So I didn't just throw it away, because at first that was too much for me. Just being real honest, I just was like, okay, I can't just throw it away. So I put it in a different container, tell myself, okay, if I'm hungry, I'll eat it later. And then if I decided to eat it later, fine. If I decided to throw it away from the container, then that was fine too. The other thing that's important about that is to think about, you need to have portion. You need to be eating serving sizes in accurate portions when you make your plate. It's not likely that you're going to put tons of food on your plate if you're actually doing the actual serving size. So if you are paying attention to the serving size for most vegetables is a cup, which is like a handful. Serving size for most carbohydrates is a half a cup. And if you're just scooping out rice or potatoes or whatever, you're probably putting more than a half a cup. So you need to measure until you start to understand what a real serving size is. Meat is 4 ounces for women, 6 ounces for men, about the size of your palm. And a nice flat palm, not a thick, juicy one. But and once you get used to that, it's unlikely that you'll put so much food on your plate that you are creating waste if you know the serving sizes. For me, I would still sometimes put too much food on my plate because I'd be really hungry. So I would put lots of serving sizes of, fruits and vegetables, or actually for me, it usually be vegetables. I'd have protein and like 3 servings of vegetables, and then I would get full off the favorite vegetable, right? So, it might be, sauteed green beans with, onions. And I thought that was really good. And I'd eat that first, and then I'd get full and not be able to eat everything else. So then I would put it in a different container, put it in the refrigerator, say I'll eat it later. And then if you don't eat it later, you can choose to throw it away. So, being okay with setting it aside and not eating it. And then second, to make sure you're paying attention to serving sizes so you don't get so much food on your plate that you feel like you have to eat it all. The other thing is, when you're out at restaurants, and I know I've talked about this before, is when you're out at restaurants and they give you so much food on your plate, way beyond a serving size. We went to Steaks Eatery yesterday, and for my dad's birthday, and the serving sizes are ridiculous, right? And we just all got boxes from the get up, and just put everything in half and put it in a box, and I still couldn't even eat all my food. So and my guys couldn't either, and they are they're growing boys, so they're big eaters. So just because the food is on your plate, we have this idea that we should eat it. But especially if you're not controlling what gets on your plate, if you're out at a restaurant, the serving size is beyond, what they put on your plate is beyond the regular serving size. So you're going to need to take that off your plate right away, because if it's on your plate, you're going to be inclined to eat all of it, and it's just too much. So I just wanted to tell you guys how I've helped break myself of that habit of eating everything on my plate. Is I just take it off, put it in a different container, and then save it for later. And then I might eat it later, or I might throw it away. But just, know that it's okay to throw the food away, because it's not helping you. Food is to nourish your body, and cleaning your plate when you're already full is not helping nourish your body. It's actually hurting you by making you feel like you have to eat more than you need to eat, by giving you more calories than you're actually going to burn. The reason we get satiated, we get full, is because our body is like, yep, this is all I need. So going past that, we don't have any reason, here in the United States, we don't have any reason to eat past when we're satiated, when we're full. There's no reason for that. The first one, and this is another, I'll share this one more thing, and then I'm going to get off here. The first bite of your food that you take, you know, and it tastes so good, and then you're eating food and you don't want to stop because it tastes so good. This sometimes will happen. What you got to think about is the first bite and the third bite and the 10th bite, they don't taste any different. It doesn't taste any better. So that first bite of the food that you get, it's not going to get any better than that. So you don't have to complete the meal to get more of the wonderful. It's you already got the best that you're going to get. It's not going to, on this 10th bite, it's going to be even better. It's all going to taste the same after that. So you've had the best. You've had the best of the experience of eating it. When you get to the end, it's not going to be any more complete, any more wonderful. So you can stop whenever you want. You can stop at bite 5 and walk away from that plate. And it's okay to leave it. And, you know, I know my god sister said this, there's no children started. You're not going to save any food that's going to change the world on your plate, you know. So you can leave that food there and have it be healthy for you right now and maybe make a different choice in another area. But leaving food on your plate is okay. So just take the time to understand it's okay to leave the food on your plate. And like I said, I know it was hard for me, and I don't even know where I kind of absorbed that, but leaving food on your plate is okay. And eventually, once you start to leave the food and understand how much food it takes for you to get full and satiated, and different foods, you know, combinations of different foods give you that feeling of being full in a different way. So it's not going to be every time you eat, it'll be this much of this, because, you know, if you eat rice and beans, there'll be one combination of food that you eat that gets you satiated. And if you eat chicken and lettuce, that's a different combination. So once you start to pay attention and understand how your body responds to food, how you feel when you eat food, you'll start to know, okay, this is about what I eat to be full. Like, I don't really have to measure my food now because I know, you know, this is about how the size and what I'm going to eat. But when you first start paying attention, you'll have to pay attention. You'll have to measure it out because you have no idea. You've been overeating and undereating and doing all types of stuff. You just have no idea. So you really do have to measure it out until you understand how your body works and what it feels like. And then you'll be able to know, okay, this is what I eat. All of our stomachs are the same size. They're about the size of a fist. And people are like, oh, that can't be. It is. That doesn't mean you can't overeat and stuff more in there. We all have had the experience, maybe not all, but most of us had the experience of eating like a whole bag of potato chips or a whole thing of cookies. Those type of carbs you can smush on in and you can get them into your stomach. You can't do that with, you know, nobody's eating a whole package of, you know, a 3-pound bag of chicken breast, because that density takes up it feels different in our body. You can't just eat that. So just to be mindful of that, think about that. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Bridget. I just wanted to get on here since we were talking about that and just tell you that I actually had to purposely train myself to be okay with leaving food on my plate. And it took a while. And it had, you know, I had to really be conscious of it and do it. And I do it on purpose when I didn't put too much food on my plate to purposely leave it there. But I had to be like, okay, you know what? You're full. Look at that plate. And there's still food there. And everybody's okay. And it's fine. But I had to really let that soak in and spend time with how that felt to change the initial reaction because I was used to cleaning my plate or feeling like I need to clean my plate, which is just, yeah, the Clean Plate Club. Yeah. Which nobody wants to be a part of that club. That club is breaking up. We're getting over that. And we don't want to we don't want to continue to make our kids or our grandchildren feel like they need to clean their plate, because we know that's just it's not true. And if we want to do positive things for the environment, society, we can do it without cleaning our plate. So that's it. Just wanted to share that with you guys. And yeah, that's it. Bye-bye.